How many times have you gone to crochet, let's say a scarf? You sit down, you get going, you get about this far into it, and what happens? You have got the wonkiest looking edges, or maybe you have begun to shrink and you're all of a sudden making this crazy weird shape, or maybe somehow it's growing and you just can't for the life of you figure out what you've done wrong. Today, I'm going to show you how to get those perfectly crisp straight edges that we see all of the pro crocheters doing in any of their projects. You too can be a pro with these simple, easy tips. So for today, all I'm doing is I'm just making some simple single crochets. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get us to the end with these single crochets, just like this. And this is where I want you to pay close attention. I'm going to zoom you in just a tad. Typically, when a pattern tells you to do something, they'll say it one of two ways when you get to the end of a row. It'll say turn, chain one, chain two, or it will tell you to chain one or chain two and then turn. It really honestly depends on the designer and how they write the pattern. For me and all of the Yarn Hook Needles patterns, typically what I do, since this is a single crochet stitch, I would have you chain one, then turn. Now, this is the crucial step that causes wonkiness when it comes to your edges. Most patterns, unless otherwise indicated, those chains at the beginning of rows count as whatever the stitch is. So for a chain one, that's going to count as a single crochet. For a chain two, that is going to count as a half double crochet or a double crochet. Depends on the designer and how they write it into the pattern. And for a chain three, that can either count as a double crochet or a treble crochet. It's all contingent on the preference of the designer. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to go with chain one. Now, your instinct is going to want to put a single crochet right here in what obviously looks like the correct stitch. But let me show you why this isn't the correct stitch. If we take out our hook and we flip our work forward, what do we see? Well, first we see a V-stitch, and we see a V-stitch right here, which is where we would want to put our hook. But look, that chain one is coming out of that V-stitch. That means that that already has a stitch in it technically. Our chain one, remember, that is a single crochet. And so if you were to put a single crochet stitch there, what you're doing is you're technically putting two stitches into one space. And that's what gives that jagged edge or can cause growth to your pattern. So what you want to do is, if you're just not sure, flip that work forward and look, where's my chain one coming out of, or my chain two or chain three? If it's coming out of that spot, you know, nope, that's not where I go. I go into this stitch because that's technically the second stitch. So do you see what I did there? We did not put a stitch where the chain one was, because then that would give us two stitches. So let's go ahead and go across, and we're going to do it again just so you can see. Sorry, camera's shaking. We're going to go ahead and go across with these single crochets just so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so we've come to the end of our row. Now I'm the pattern designer and I'm telling you, chain one and turn. Now, you're looking at this work and you're going, that's where I need to put the stitch. No, no, no. Remember what I told you? Flip that work forward. Where's that chain coming out of? It's coming out of right there. That means that this is off limits unless the pattern says to do it. But I can assure you, if it doesn't say to do it, that is not where you put your stitch. So we skip what we would automatically want to do and instead go into the next stitch with a single crochet. And you just would continue across your pattern. Okay, so right here, that's where our chain one was. It's gonna look a little wonky, right? Well, you just force that hook underneath that V, because you know that V has got to have a stitch in it, right? You're gonna work your single crochet just like so. And remember, this is gonna be woven in, so that's not what we're worried about. We're gonna chain one and we're gonna turn. And again, you're going to want to put a stitch right there, but that does not need a stitch because that chain one is already worked into that spot. So you go here and you work your single crochets just like so. Try to keep your tension the same. Try to keep everything consistent as far as how tight you're holding your hook, how tightly you're feeding your yarn in, all of that. We get to the end, look right there, there's a chain one. You see that V? Anytime you see a V, you know that V needs a friend. And so we're gonna stick a single crochet underneath that V. We're going to chain one and we're going to turn. And so as you can see, I'm just going to set this down for a second. And I'm going to zoom you back out. So as you can see, just in these few rows that we've done, our edges, they're pretty straight. There's no wonkiness or anything like that. And like I said, that little thing would normally get sewn in. But those edges, they're straight. And I promise you, the issue that you're likely having is you're adding that extra stitch into the space that already has a stitch. The chain one, chain two, chain three, whatever the pattern is calling for. So just be careful. Double check yourself, like I said. You see that V right there? That chain is already coming through that space. That means there's already one there. So you move on to the next one. And that, my friends, is how you get those nice, crisp, clean edges. That's how you keep your work from growing or kind of inventing new shapes, whatever they are. I really hope this helps. I hope this helps you to understand what to look out for and what you could possibly do to make sure that you do get those nice straight edges that even the pro crocheters do. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I will do my absolute best to assist you. I hope that you like this video, you share it with anybody else who you might think would need help or a good explanation of how to get straight edges. And be sure you turn on post notifications so that you can be notified whenever we have a new video come up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.